generation. Millennials have the lowest view of their own generation, but the highest view of themselves personally. And what I've said is what that translates to is there's a big problem here, but it's not me, right? There's a huge problem going on in the world, but it's not me.
That's
It's
not
you
me.
guys, right? And you can see that in culture. But anyway, so yeah, it challenged my own perceptions of my own generation because it's like here's a young guy who he does care about truth and he's tired of the ambiguity that's going on in the religious world that he's experienced and he wants something more.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think we forget that that what we offer is life.
Yeah.
And I think people don't get it. I think they think, oh, they're alive. Like people are alive. No, we actually offer real life, like a step into the eternal,
Yeah.
instead of living in this world where there's no meaning, no purpose, and it's just
Abundance of
like,
life. Yeah.
yeah, it's like, yeah. So that's what we're like robbing people of if we don't share the good news. We're literally
Yeah.
withholding. It would be like food and a starving person and going, no, 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 I don't think you want this food. No,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
and that's why, like you said, the perspectives, the Samaritan woman at the well, that was a change in
Mm,
perspective, right? The disciples are
sure.
like, what are you doing, man?
Yeah.
So that's a good point. Good point. I
Yeah.
would put that as point number 4. Sometimes the worst people are the ones most open. Like there
Yeah.
might be some real tough, mean-looking person, and then
Hmm.
they're like ready, And
Oh yeah.
somebody nice is like, you go up to them, you're like, oh, they're totally gonna listen. They're like, get out of my face, man. And you're like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. Yeah.
Totally
Yeah.
wrong. I'll tell a fun story before we do the call to action. There
Yeah.
was a guy, he was praying or about reaching people, and I guess he heard God tell him whatever. I want you to go to the bus station and give somebody a hug, and he's like, what? No, no. So he goes to the bus station. There's this big, huge guy, like tough gang guy, like big, and he felt like God was like, give that guy a hug, and he's like, no, that's gonna kill me, man. And so he's like, but he's like, I had to be faithful. I had to do this. I already stepped out. So he literally went and said, can I give you a hug, man? And he gave the guy a hug, and the guy started crying. And he was able to talk to him about Jesus. But you
Mm.
never would have done that. Like there are times, I don't know about you, but for me, where God calls us to do stuff, and you go, no way, it doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense.
Is this the
But
twist in the story where you were the big scary biker?
no,
Or
no,
no?
yeah, I'm not even big, man. I lost that. Yeah, no, it was just a good story for me
Yeah. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
the person had
Yeah.
done something which God calls us to do things that don't make sense
Yeah.
a lot of times, and then
Mm.
when you do it, you go, wow, it makes total sense.
Mm.
That God would use me in this impossible thing. So be brave. That's why it's called be brave, by the way, because God,
Yeah.
I know about you, but me, constantly God will give me, hey, go do this, try this thing, give this
Mm.
person, no, pray for this person, go tell them I love them, and I'm like, no,
Mm.
nah, and when I've done it, it's been amazing. So
Mm.
shame on me, right? It says
Mm.
perfect love casts out fear. I just don't have the love, so I got to keep praying for love.
Mm.
And on that note, let's do a call to action. Let's get out there.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the call to action is simply to be. I've told my oldest son recently, I'm like, be aware of your circumstances, son, because he's completely oblivious to the world around him. And a lot of times that's us. We are completely oblivious to the world around us. And it's like you're on the bus, you're at the bus stop, you're in the convenience store, you're surrounded by souls. And you might not start preaching hellfire and brimstone to them, but you need to just invest in those people. Be aware that people are around you. Show them that you value them and that you care for them, because you might be planting seeds that you're completely unaware of that you can reap the harvest from later. Ask the simple question of, hey, is there anything I can pray for you about today? Is there anything that I can, start the conversation there? How you doing? How's your kids doing? The church needs to once again recapture the idea of being a good neighbor, and
Mm,
and good neighbors care about their neighbors. They're
yeah.
invested in their welfare. And that's messy business sometimes because some people have a lot of problems, and you have to be willing to get down in the mud and try and help them through that the best you can.
That's the hard part, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's all nice, the idea of talking to people, and then they start opening up and they have all these things, and you gotta,
you're like,
you gotta,
what did I
yeah.
get myself into, right? Yeah, I've been there,
Oh,
man.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
but if you can just turn it back to the Word of God, and turn it back to the Lord, you can really help people. You can't.
Well,
Only Jesus can fix them completely, but if you
that's
turn
it.
them to Him, then
Hey, if you're on the bus talking to somebody and they're just giving you all this stuff, and God comes back, what better place to be
Yeah.
than serving Him, even in the mud? Because I know Jesus got dirty. I
Yeah.
mean, he was out there on the lepers. You know, he was hanging
Hmm.
out with people that no one hung out with. And so when we're on the bus, everybody, that was awesome. Jacob, I'm so glad you're on the show, man, because you brought some awesome strategies. But when you're on the bus or wherever you are, just pretend Jesus was next to you. This is what I like to think sometimes. And say, if Jesus was sitting like right here at my desk, wherever, what would he do?
Hmm.
Like, what would he do? Because I believe that he would have looked in love for people and said, that person over there, they got their head down. I'm going to see if I can engage in that. I'm going to
Hmm.
see if I can just sit and say, hey, everything okay? You all right? And that's it.
Hmm.
And so I know that phrase, what would Jesus do, people have used, but I would say clearly we know what he would do, and it's what we just got to do it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So,
Absolutely.
Jacob, I appreciate you, man. You stay strong out there
Thanks,
and
brother. Thanks for
share the
having me.
good news. Yeah. And
You've been listening to Be Brave. The world right now is a crazy place, and sharing the love of God is the most important thing we can do right now. We hope you've enjoyed the show. Make sure to like, rate, and review. And we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hit up gobebrave.org. Remember, the love of God is the most powerful force in the universe. Learn how to love like Jesus. See you next time.